So where is this economy taking us this year? With the Fed increasing rates again, things happening here in the Phoenix market. What is this market telling us, and where are we going? Where are we headed? So this week, I had an opportunity through a group I'm a part of called Entrepreneurs Organization. They connected with YPO here in Arizona and brought in a guest speaker, a chief economist, an economist with a company called ITR Economics. His name is Brian Beaulieu, and he was awesome. He was a great presenter, pretty funny guy for an economist, and had a lot of interesting things to say, not only for our national economy, but our Arizona-specific economy, and then also the global economy and what that looks like for us moving forward. He showed what we were to see as a smaller recession that we're heading into right now, and nothing that's that earth-shattering for most people, because we still have jobs being increased here in the not just in Phoenix, but throughout the country. The United States and what he'd shown, I'll jump to the finish. 2030 is when we should all really be focusing on being as liquid as possible, or in his terms, it was get rid of all of that extra debt and everything by 2030 and being as free as you possibly can. A couple of interesting points that I wanted to point out, and some that we've been talking about and others that we haven't. First, when it comes to new home starts here in Arizona, we've been seeing such a shortage of new home starts, which is leading to this housing crisis, right? Which hasn't been called a crisis yet, but it's looking like it's going to be. In that, with the data that I provide, every week it's been showing that the market and active listings on the market is continuing to decline. And that's the case this week again. Another week of declining active listings, which puts pressure on buyers to make a choice. Even though there's a deficiency of buyers right now, there's a lack of a demand in buyers because interest rates are so high. There's nothing that's going to come of that other than those buyers still having to buy some houses. So prices really aren't dropping this year like people anticipated, which is a good thing. The other piece that ties into that has to do with the interest rates, and how interest rates and what we'd seen in the past are probably gone. And there needs to be a recalibration of expectations moving forward for anyone that's planning on getting a loan or buying a house or whatever asset you're looking to purchase. Interest rates have changed, and there's a very low probability that we're ever going to see them back as low as we did, at least in the foreseeable future. So because of that, house pricing may be stabilizing, right? Because they are still buying at this price point with these current interest rates. And depending on how things go on the manufacturing side of things and what ends up happening, all these extra things he talked about, by the end of second quarter this year, we'll really know whether or not, if the Fed decides to increase again after second quarter of this year, then we'll know that the recession is probably going to be bigger than we had expected. So keep that in mind. Kind of interesting information. Like, this guy really, he brought such different modeling and data that any of us have access to, right? So it was so cool, and seeing these different charts and different things, some of which I didn't even understand, right? Some of that stuff's so over my head, I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, kind of look like a deer in headlights, I'm sure. But the basic theme was, for housing, is if you've got a house right now, there's going to be this run up probably for the next 5 to 6 years that we're going to still continue to see following that trajectory, and then at that point we're going to see some challenges. The other piece was the apartments, and this I hadn't really connected before. So right now there's tons of apartments. The apartments new starts here in Arizona is really, really hot and heavy. And if you drive through Phoenix, you'll see high rise after high rise being built, all over the place. And where that makes this so much more important is as home buyers can't buy homes because it's outside of their price point, they're going to be renting and they're paying higher rents. They're making more money because people are making more money. And they're living now longer in these apartments because the ability for them to purchase here in the very foreseeable or even longer foreseeable future, it's going to take them longer to get into these homes. So I thought that was a very, very interesting perspective. Seeing all these apartments, I was a little worried because I'm thinking, well, who's going to live in all these places? And at the end of the day, with interest rates staying where they are for a bit, it's going to become the new norm. So, expectations of, say, a first-time home buyer wanting to get into a house like, my buddy down the street did, a 2,400 square foot home with a pool and an amazing yard, for $450,000. That may be out of the question when it comes to my interest rates and being able to afford something like that anymore. It might not work. I thought that was very, very interesting. He also talked about the strength of our country and America moving into the next decade as the rest of the world and the rest of, a lot of the developed countries, their population growth is inverted compared to what we're doing and where we're at. And he showed China and he showed Japan, and basically you've got this large group of baby boomers and people of Gen X, and and it comes down to the millennials and the newer generations, and how, wow, those newer generations are so small. There's this huge shift in population that's going to be happening and that is happening in those countries that's going to affect manufacturing. It's going to affect their economies substantially. And that's something that we just, from my standpoint, I'm here in my office most of the time, so I don't pay as much attention, but it just really drove home that, the strength of our economy is the future for so many, which is really, really, really interesting. I hope that helps. I hope that was at least a little bit helpful this week. I know it kind of blew my mind on so many fronts. If you want to talk about it, it definitely gave me some opinions on where we should be structuring and where we should be paying attention here going into this next year. 2024 as we approach it. I think looking at like the services and the things that we're offering. This week behind the scenes, we had another updated conversation with the team that's helping us build our website, and keeping that thing running. And there's something that I've wanted to see there for a long time, and we're going to be putting it up there. So those of you that I've shared the pro forma that I use for buying investment properties, it's a plug and play model. I love it. I've been using it for a very long time, and it's never failed me because it's the numbers. We're going to put something up on our site that you can use instead of having to download it. Like I've probably sent you the link and you've downloaded it and you had to do this and that. We're just going to have it on our site and have it right embedded there. So one more tool that we hope will be very helpful for our clients to just be able to assess, similarly to how we do. And why that's important is not because our way is the best way. It's the way we know, right? So if we're doing it the same way and we can talk and speak the same language when you're going into a deal or not, it just makes it that much easier to be on the same page and know where to, challenge the plan or embrace it and say this is the way that you need to do it. So cool. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I'm very optimistic after yesterday's meeting, much more optimistic than I thought I would be coming out of a meeting with an economist. But I am excited about what 2023 is bringing. Capstone is continuing to grow. Systems and processes are the name of the game for us this year. If you want to know anything about Asana or Follow Up Boss or any of these tools, like we are really getting to know them. Like the whole glaze look that I talked about earlier, like I think I've had that a few times this week of just going, oh my gosh, like what is this? but we're getting better at it, and it feels really, really good because we're definitely leveling up that game, and it's helping us connect the dots significantly better for the business, our clients, and for you. And we appreciate you. Thank you so much.